right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And I see some familiar faces that who I love. And all of you, welcome, welcome, welcome to this great event. Austyn is so wonderful. You're going to enjoy every minute. So, as you know, I'm your host, Irene Weinberg, and it truly is my pleasure to have Austyn Wells with us. She's a best-selling author. She's a spiritual medium, a certified grief counselor, and a soul gardener. She powerfully combines her intuition and mediumship with shamanism, energy medicine, and sacred ceremony to bring about healing, and she is passionate about empowering people to create soul-centered lives. Austyn and I are going to begin tonight's event with a brief chat, and then Austyn will begin to bring both psychic messages and messages from deceased loved ones to as many of you as time will allow. Please leave your requests for a psychic message or a message from a deceased loved one, as well as any other questions you have for Austyn in the chat portion of this Zoom, so that Stephanie Barnhart, our techie guru for Grief and Rebirth podcast, can respond to you. And hopefully, there will also be time towards the end of this event for Austyn to respond to a few of your questions. Hey, Austyn, it's so great to be with you tonight. Let's begin. Here's a question for you. How has your background as a grief counselor enhanced your mediumship?
Well, first of all, before I begin and jump into that, Irene, thank you. Thank you for being of service. Thank you for creating the Grief and Rebirth podcast, for allowing there to be a space and a place where people can come and have conversations that sometimes are not allowed in different circles of people's lives. So I just want to thank you for your commitment, because if people don't know what it takes to have a podcast, it's a beautiful gift, but it's also one that comes with a great deal of responsibility and discipline, and not everybody is successful at it. So just thank you. Like, everybody, can we just kind of give it up to Irene for this gift that she gives everybody, and just such an honor. Yes, Mary, I like that. It's like, hey. And Stephanie, thank you very much for your techno genius. We appreciate you greatly. She's a very, very smart, fantastic woman, and I am grateful that I'm friends with both ladies. So this feels like family. And then there are just so many people. There's so many people. I'm so sorry. I'll get to the question, but there are people I want to recognize. Chris, hello. Norma, hello. Yada, oh my God, girlfriend, I almost start crying. There's so many people you meet along the way that have such a depth of connection to your soul. Michelle, I just want to say hello. So to the people, and Sally and Dory, I mean, there's a number. Radaya, thank you so much. Carolyn, there's just a number. Sam, good evening. Thank you for being here. So Alice, just lots of people that I'm grateful for being here. So as you can tell, I really believe in gratitude, and it's such a great vibration to start with. So now I'll answer your question, Irene, because I just would not be able to start if I didn't start with
that was
gratitude.
Lovely. Thank you, Austyn.
Well, it needs to be said, girlfriend. It needs to be said.
And I see a few people I know too. I want to give a special shout out to Heidi, my buddy Heidi Connolly. And there are a few other people who, with much love, welcome.
Yeah, it's a lovely group of people. So, hiya. Okay, so Irene's question, to recapitulate briefly, was what has being a grief counselor, I think, contributed to my mediumship? Was that the question?
How has being a grief counselor enhanced your mediumship? Because not every medium is a grief counselor.
No. And Irene, thank you for recognizing that. I, as an educator of mediums, I would love it if all mediums had more understanding of grief counseling. Because yes, the sessions that a medium has with people who have experienced loss is we're acting as a bridge to your loved one's soul and spirit. But there's a humanistic connection there as well in that time period. And I think it really is a necessary thing for mediums to understand what the dying process is, what different kinds of grief and the repercussions of that how deeply that can affect people, when within a conversation, to understand that a person might be benefited by really a more of professional help because the loss is profound. Mm-hmm. And then just simple things like complicated grief, which you could say on some level, many of us are experiencing at this point, which is when there's multiple losses at once. We all are experiencing grief now. We've lost freedoms and we've lost connection, and we've had a very different last couple of years. So I'm an integral girl. Like, I have to do the best job I can do. My passion is to be the best that I can be. I don't want to compete with anybody else. I'm very comfortable in my lane, but for me, it just felt necessary. So I'm ecstatic that so many more mediums are adding that, because you all deserve that. You deserve someone who can not only bring forth messages, but can empathically meet you where you are. And one of the gentlemen that's present, Sam, is a counselor at a hospital, and he and I have had beautiful discussions about holding that sacred space for people. So that has a great deal to do with it.
It's wonderful that you do that. I think it's just marvelous, because a lot of times someone will get a message and it's so comforting, but they are dealing with very complicated grief and they need more. And that's why it's another reason I also interview healers on the podcast, so that you can go to the medium, and then if you need that extra step, there's someone there for you also. You know, your book, we talked about your book, Soul Conversations, Austyn, and it's such a wonderful, wonderful book. How did your book change your life? I know it's changing other people's lives, but how about you?
A lot. Just on a basic level, I think there's a gift in writing a book, and I encourage all of you to try something like it, whether it's your memoirs or that book, because I think most of us have a book inside of us. But in order to be successful in a book, you need to find your voice. And working with people on a holistic level for years, it's really something that a lot of us are not quite in alignment with. And I think we fall out of alignment with it at different points. So as I was writing the book, it became evident to me that I was not living the truths that the spirit world was blending with me to share in the book, that I knew from sessions and I knew from working with people. So I was out of step with my own soul, which was a rather sobering realization. And it gave me quite a conundrum, because I either got the book published and would talk one way and live another, or I had to dig deep and make some huge shifts and changes in my life. And I chose the latter. And I'm so grateful I did. It gave me an opportunity to lovingly divorce from my husband. And it was important for me to do it in a very kind and gentle way, because he's a very good person. But we had reached a point where our evolution couldn't take us any farther. That's given me a great deal of different kinds of levels of empathy for people that when I'm working with somebody that's going through some kind of a marital situation that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And it also required that I embark on my own and face a lot of fear. And people talk about, fear being something that isn't real. I think fear simply is an energetic expression of yourself that you haven't owned yet. And so it feels stronger than you are. But if you lean into it, it becomes you, and then you're stronger. So I think we will always have fear and we'll always have faith. And those are the two choices that we have, which exponentially have been just amplified in the last couple of years. But we have a choice. And that choice is one that allows our soul to evolve. So I took the Joseph Campbell type, I like to think of it that way, bigger, scary choice. And I'm so grateful that I did.
It sounds like you learned to walk your book, what you taught in your book. You learned to be authentic and live it yourself.
Absolutely.
So, right. So here's another question, Austyn. In what ways did the last 2 years inspire you to expand your education and create new class content, which I know you have done, to meet special spiritual opportunities or spiritualities, as you call them, that are available to all of us right now?
What I would like to do to answer that is two-part. Everyone that's here, I wish that there was enough time, barring a presidential speech, to give every single person a reading. I get very saddened by galleries sometimes because people walk away from them thinking, oh, my loved ones don't care about me, or why didn't I get a message? And that part, for my heart, I'm one of those strange people that really cares. That's really hard for me. So what I'd like to do is offer a teaching piece. So every single one of us can step out of here with something, whether it's a message or an insight, but a shared learning that really I feel is helpful during these times. Because if I can just ask everybody, how many people within the last 2 years, how many of you feel like you are a different version of yourself? Just raise your paw.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so imperative that we embrace it. But I also, as Irene was talking about, the word spiritunity, which is a word I created, but I love it because it's a spiritual opportunity. And going back to that idea of faith and fear, that's the choice that we have. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share a screen and I'm going to talk a little bit about why we have the faith, why we have the fear, and give you guys some tools and techniques to learn to deal with the inherent duality of our soul. Because that's really what's in front of all of us right now, is there's always going to be something in the macrocosm or in the external environment that can inspire fear. But our creative choice is how we respond to it. And that's where you can choose either to respond in fear, which is completely understandable because it's a very prevalent vibration that is around us at all times. Or you can cultivate a deeper relationship with your soul and fall in faith, whether that comes in a pathway of religion or it comes in a pathway of New Age metaphysics, however you want to frame it. So let me just go into the biggest question that we have is, what is the soul? So let me spend a little bit of time, and this was what came from my scribings that led to soul conversations. So this is a picture of our earth. And the red bands that you see around it are called the Van Allen belts. Now, those are electrically charged particles that form bands around the earth, and their job is to protect the atmosphere of the earth from destruction. You can see them in this picture, however, they are not always visible. So even in a satellite view of Earth, we already have a natural duality, which is that which is physical and that which is unseen, or that which is invisible, or that which is energy. And we know from a physics standpoint that everything actually is energy. But there is something about the human experience that kind of makes us forget what's invisible, but rely more on what's physical. So that idea of something surrounding and protecting the earth is duplicated in the birthing process. So Here we have the embryonic sac. We have this beautiful little miracle that I still marvel at this whole process, like how this is possible. And that embryonic sac serves as a protector for the fetus while it's inside and it's developing within the 9-month or however long it takes, or however short it takes for that little soul to decide to embark upon the physical journey. Well, our physical body has exactly the same mechanism, which I like to call the soul space. So we have a physical reality, which is the physical body. And then we have a very prevalent energetic surrounding, an electromagnetic field. And this is substantiated by quantum physics. And I'm sure many of you know about it, but it's worthy of another just kind of mention. So that electromagnetic field is how we feel and process and really authenticate our journey as human beings. And it's a beautiful thing because it moves like this. So energy is always in motion. So it's funny, lots of practitioners say, oh, your chakras like closed or your energy's stuck. And it's not stuck, it's not closed, because if it was, we wouldn't be alive, because that's the dynamic anima of your soul. The movement of the energy, though, can have more of a dullness to it, or the movement itself can be fatigued, or it can be maybe not as quick or in the healthiest flow. But we're always having this dynamic processing change going on around us. So that's the external part of us. And then connected to our physical bodies are our chakras. And those are little vortexes that then take what that energy is that we either receive or we're releasing into the universe. And it helps us come into our physical body. That then goes into our nervous system, and that creates the memories that we have. So a medium really is sensing into the energy space and then allowing our chakra system to be informed by the soul that we're talking to, and having a remembrance of memories that have existed before, from your loved ones, from your friends, from your pets. So there is a dualistic nature, though, when we talk about this soul, because we're talking now about what's physical and what's energetic. So the physical part of us, the part of us that understands the world as a physical, I like to call the finite self. Finite because finite implies that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you think about how we think of time, we think of past, present, future, but it's almost always informed by the fact that at some point we die. Now, the minute you start thinking like that, can everybody feel how anxious you get? So the finite part of us is our energetic field having a human experience. So we're human, we have a physical body, we're in a material world. To perceive everything, we understand our physical senses. So that's the sense of smell and taste and touch. It also puts with us our ego, our personality, and our emotions. It makes us singularly aware of ourselves, because I'm in this physical form and I'm different than you because I look like this and you like that. And it also gives us that finite perspective that everything ends, because everything that's physical either is destructed at some point or just falls apart. So I want to compare the two sides of us, the dualistic nature of our soul. So there's the finite self we've talked about, but let's talk about the infinite self. So the finite self is a human being. That infinite self is our spiritual being. It's that energetic presence of ourselves. Where we have a physical body with the finite self, we have an energy body, which I was kind of highlighting when we talk about the infinite self. Whereas we have physical senses with the finite self, we have soul senses with the infinite self. Those are all the clairs that people talk about when they teach psychic perception. So clairvoyance, clairsentience, or I like to say soul feeling, soul hearing, all those things. So it's the ability to hear, sense, and perceive energy. Then we have the physical world versus the energetic universe. We have our personality, our emotions, and our ego compared with the distillation of divine intelligence. Kind of a different idea. So instead of being the only thinker, there's this idea of co-creation or a collective, an access to a collective consciousness. And then as opposed to the finite perspective, there's this infinite perspective, because each one of these has different belief systems with it. So the finite self will believe we're mortal, we're an individual, we think we control our life. And I think most of us can attest to the fact that that ain't true. But the most perilous one is that life happens to me. It's a victimization of ourselves. It's a separateness from the potential and the chances and the possible outcomes of a situation. We almost kind of go concave with that idea energetically, and it separates ourselves. But that's so much of the experience of the finite. The infinite self, however, knows that we are immortal, understands that this is a continuum of energy. We understand that I am that I am, whatever that I am is to you, that you are part of a greater consciousness. It also puts you in the driver's seat because you co-create your life. Puts much more responsibility on personal responsibility, on integrity, on the choices that you make. And my favorite one is it puts you in the awareness that life is happening for you. Life is happening for you, more or less it's a gift. The people you meet, the circumstances that you're given, the delays that happen, there's something in it that is contributing to something greater than yourself. And that part of us will be the part of us that gets called to service or has a diminished experience that might be something our finite self experiences. But then our infinite self is called to a greater purpose because of a singular event. So the hope is that these two parts of us can merge together. And a way to look at this is kind of the yin-yang symbol, that we just always want to think of our life, and I think it's true for those of us, always as being like a shift. We're going to go, there's going to be ups, there's a part of you that's just absolutely sailing and something that's totally working. At the same time, something is just in darkness and it's not happening. So I simply wanted to take a moment to share those perceptions, because that's the basic conundrum we're in right now. We have people that have very substantial ideas and beliefs, and we are having a really hard time finding harmony in things that are in a dualistic nature. Now, the exact same thing is happening within us. So we can feel rendered helpless when it comes to external events that seem beyond our comprehension or something we can do nothing about. And yet I absolutely disagree. There is always something that can be done. And what can be done is finding that peace within yourself, finding that bridge between the finite self and the emotions and the fear levels that can happen in that part of us that kind of wants to be reclusive and think, oh God, I did that wrong. But find that kind of nurturing parent within ourselves to embrace that part of us and say, yeah, but what did you get from it? Did you learn something? Are you a better person because of it? Will you make different choices going forward because you made those decisions? So circling back to Irene's question, and Irene, thank you so much for allowing me a moment to go into the education, because I love teaching.
Well, you know what, Austyn, I just wanted to say one thing. This is what you're talking about, is living a conscious life, being aware.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we are all here. We know there's more. Every single one of us.
Yes. And the benefit of podcasts like this, the benefit of gatherings like this, is the commonality of the beliefs within this tribe that we have created for this moment right now. So how am I different in the last 2 years? I have changed the paradigm of how I work because you are different. People are at a place in a space where they are understanding that what they valued in their life may not be what they wish to carry forward. They're at a place in their life where they realize that they need a stronger foot in the spirit world, or a stronger foot in that idea of what is beyond themselves, a greater idea of service, a greater idea that way. And so what it has really demanded is that I look at my presentations, I look at the things that I'm passionate about, and that I revision what I'm offering to people, because my whole thing is I don't have any desire to be the best medium in the world. There are amazing mediums out there. They do fantastic work. I just want to serve the people. I just want to serve the people that cross my path. I want to help. to the degree that I can, which is
Look at where
why,
you are today.
which
Look
is,
look what we're doing.
yeah, which is why I've spent the amount of time that I have learning what I have and put the money that I have in education, because I just think there's a gorgeous opportunity right now for people to find what's really valuable for them. And I encourage every single one of you to be comfortable in your discomfort. If there are things about you that you have realized that are not in alignment with what you want, make a change. Have the courage to find what that passion piece is, or find it. So I'm excited about new offerings of classes. I'm excited about, different things that I'm offering, but we all should be different. We all should be different because of what's transpired. And I'm hoping we can maintain those values.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm grateful for you being here tonight, for helping all of us this way, Austyn. And I think it's about time for you to gift some people with some readings. And
I would love that. I would love that.
like,
Okay.
whose soul is speaking to you?
Well, I was going to go to the chat window actually to start, I think. But let me take a moment and look at everybody that's here. Hi, Catherine, you sweet pea. Hi, girlfriend. Let's see where I want to start. Patty, Miss Baker, Miss Patty. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really, really good. Thank you so much. I'm drawn to talk to your father. I just, and I feel like he's almost, there's a sweetness about your father that I just want to recognize immediately. And I also know as I connect to him, this would not be something beyond him to kind of want to not be the master of ceremonies, but to want to kind of to begin things. There is a sweetness in his soul. There's also a love of education with him as well. So I know that he's probably stepping forward to align with me, primarily because of the fact that I kind of stepped into a line of education. He has such moral integrity. Boy, Patty, the man just lives by his word. And it feels to be such an honor. And the thing is I know that he's touched so many people within his life. But then what I also find beautiful about your dad is that there's a humility about this man that is so breathtaking. And he lets me know as I'm connecting with him that those values, he's almost showing me you being like, hi, Dad, like having this love of him and this admiration for him. And I can just feel that mutual love that you guys had with each other, because your dad is an affectionate man. He's not an overly affectionate man. So I think the moments when he would have embraced you and touched you, you would remember so clearly, and I know that you were so present in his passing and so present around him at that particular time. So I just value this beautiful connection between a dad and a daughter. But your intellectual prowess, a lot of the things that you've stepped into in your life are so in alignment with your dad's soul. And it's a great expression, Patty, of just why you are the woman that you are, has so much to do with your dad. And it's funny because I feel like sometimes he's not always the one that steps forward. I feel like, your mom might be the one that's like, okay, it's my turn. And she's going to kind of get in there a little bit more. And there's also been, I think, more soul healing with the relationship with your mom, since the relationship with your dad kind of is very organic. I think there was just a little bit more with your mom, some growth opportunities, shall we say, with mom. But I feel like, and your dad is also recognizing that there's a birthday coming up that's significant to the family, that would be probably like within the next maybe month-ish. So I would want to maybe go into April with something as a birthday celebration. You understand that? And dad's also, I beg your pardon?
His birthday is next
Oh,
month.
well, and you know what? I have to say, it's kind of surprising that he's recognizing that, because he almost is wanting me to go, no, 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 not me, because your dad doesn't like to pull a lot of attention to himself.
Well,
But there are two birthdays. Go ahead.
there's another kind of birthday that is actually today.
Okay. Okay. And that's a spiritual passing birthday, correct? Yes. And that would be to a younger soul in spirit, correct? And that would be your son? Okay.
But younger
But-
than my father.
Younger than your father. Okay. Is that his son, your brother?
No.
Okay. There is a younger male connected with your soul that I'm drawn to. So if there was a moment in time where you were pregnant or didn't have a child or something like that, there's a little soul and spirit that's just asking for recognition. So I just simply want to just connect there to that gentleman.
There is another man though.
Okay. Would you understand your dad seeing him as a son to him?
Yes.
Okay. And then that would be your husband, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting because how your dad introduced him to me was on a son level. So that's imperative that you understand that that's how dad is just kind of recognizing him. Now your husband would feel comfortable being a little bit of an MC. He would feel comfortable. In fact, it's almost like he wants extra points because he let your dad come in first. Like he's almost like, does she love me more today because of this? Like this is unlike me, you know? But I just greatly appreciate the fact, and boy, is that gentleman smart.
He very much so was.
Yeah.
Smartest man I know.
I'm so sorry for your loss because there is a depth of, oh my Lord, there's a depth of love in this man for you. Like you guys were two peas in a pod. And I give you so much love for this journey on your own. I know that you are independent and I know that you can make things brilliantly happen. But I also know that your husband is grabbing your hand, holding it, which is something that's very familiar to you. And there's just a sense of pride about, he's telling me you've gotten very kick-ass, which kind of cracks me up that he's using that, but I know that your husband has a tongue-in-cheek kind of sense of humor, and so he'd want to say it in a funny way because that's the way he is. And he's so charming. My God, my goodness, this man is charming, and he wants me to tell you he's handsome. Right? Which is like no big shock, right? But anyway, he just wants to say, in fact, tell everyone that I'm very handsome. And I'm like, okay, well, that's very nice of you. But but anyway, so love from your husband, love from your dad. And I'm so happy you've been blessed with understanding deep, deep love, because both of these gentlemen, you know, and it makes the journey that's ahead of you, you know, kind of a lot of deep breaths. So I am grateful that you found a podcast like this and that you understand the continuation of the soul, because it allows you to be open to things that some people may not. And I also really get a feeling, because I was like, why are we mentioning this? And they're talking because your dad is really good, by the way, because your dad really listened to what I said. You know, I think your husband was like, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn? So your dad in listening to what I said, just said, she's in that place where she's really straddling that finite self, infinite self. And your dad is really recognizing the fact that it's a lot to hold on to the faith. It's a lot to that, because he says you get a lot of criticism for people in a sense about thinking this way, and that he wants you to know that your life is your own, and that he's proud of you for the authentic voice that you've developed, because you have developed quite a voice since definitely since you were a young child, but you've really found your own because you know what doesn't serve you. And it is one of the odd blessings that comes sometimes when we have an extraordinary loss, because you have to learn how to tell people to just like zip it, you know, if they're saying something inappropriate. As a side note, in my book, my publishers asked me to write a chapter about grief counseling, and I said I can't do that, but I gave it to 3 really beautiful moms, one of which is in the room with us, Miss Mary, and they all have sons in spirit. And I said, teach us how to support people in grief. And the chapter is one of my favorites because they were like, don't tell me this happened for a reason. Don't say that, like say this instead. So I just want to celebrate your strength, Patty, so much. And thank you so much for being aligned with somebody who's loving and helpful, being Miss Irene. And everybody, thank you so much for letting me spend a bit of time with Miss Patty, because I just wanted to value you today. So
appreciate you so much, and Irene as well. She's
right.
Yes. Thank you
you,
so
Patty.
much.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Okay. All right. Let me, thank God I'm a techno geek and I can look at everybody's pictures. Okay. Okay. Oh, Mike, you're so funny. I got a direct message that says, pick me, pick me, pick me. Oh my God. Okay. Let me just stay with this beautiful, beautiful group of people. Mary, Miss Wilford, lovely, beautiful girl with the chakra thing behind you.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, considering all things.
Yeah. Did you have a question for me, or do you want me to just dive in?
Just dive in.
Okay. I think how I want to start is by saying there's a reason you do what you do. There's a reason that you've been drawn to hold sacred space for others. And a lot of that has to do with a great deal. I'm going to do a blended message on this. So thank you for your permission on that. This is what happens when you open something with a teaching piece. The universe will use it as a parallel. So you have, what I'm being asked to recognize is you would deeply understand the depth of fear and the depth of faith, and what happens when you don't have a foot in one or the other. You understand that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you are being just recognized as on a global level or on a universal level about your strength. In touching into your beginning, your childhood did not give you the tools and techniques to be able to have conversations, to be able to be nurtured, to be able to have a lot of the things that would have been helpful for you. And then what I feel is you had a series of attractions to people that kind of validated that kind of distance from the heart with other people's behavior. And what I'm being asked to just recognize and love about you is the fact that you have chosen to be of service to other people so they don't have to experience what you experienced.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just like blows my mind, because to me, that's the service piece that all of us should find. Not saying that we all have to go through massive adversity, but I just think to be able to be in a place, in a space where you can be there for other people. So it kind of opens up a little bit of a different discussion though, because there's some great opportunities for you with learning not to rescue and how to nurture instead. Your default has been in the past. You've worked on this. Like I'm giving you lots of cookies and kudos for working on it. But there's the challenge with rescuing is that we are really disallowing the other person to have the fullness of an experience because we don't want them to feel what was uncomfortable for us. And it's a really tough one. When someone said that to me for the first time, I seriously wanted to deck them. I was like, no, I'm doing it for the right reasons. And it was like, no, actually, I wasn't. And I think you've done great. You've done self-examination work. You've gone to therapy. I mean, you've done so much work on yourself, girlfriend. The only thing is I don't think you realize the value you give to other people as a healer. I don't think because your support system growing up didn't allow for that. So really your entire journey has been about you discovering who you are independent of what other people think. Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And I just want to say, like, well done. Here's a perfect example of a foot in faith, because a lot of us will default to the spiritual, especially when the human being experience gets challenging, because we're like, wait a minute, I remember this other place where things were much better, where everybody was connected and everybody was kind to each other. And that's what feels right to me. So I just want to say thank you for what it is that you do in the world. Thank you for the healing and the hope that you offer for others. Thank you for doing the depths of exploration that you have. I want you to trust when you get your intuitions in your work, because you do more often than not. Because anytime you're working within the energy field of a person, you're really going to be aware on a psychic level a lot more than you realize, because you're playing in that electromagnetic field of their soul. So whether it's past life or it's current life, you're going to get so much awareness and so much information. So I just want to say to you, believe in yourself. Believe in the beauty that you bring to this world, because there could be an exploration in our first meeting with each other about the reasons why you are where you are. But what I'm finding that the spirit world is doing is a beautiful gift, is saying, but those are stories that have created the beauty that's in front of me. So to go into that would do nothing, would not diminish anything, but it wouldn't add the kind of value that I think the universe wants you to feel in this moment, of just a great thank you and atta girl and well done, that just seemed not as available in the past. So from one person who deeply loves to support people and means it all day long to another, thank you for your service. Thank you for the ways that you show up. Thank you for the kindnesses that you offer. Thank you for the sweetness of your soul, because to have you as an ally, to have you as a friend, you've got a friend for life, because you know what it's like to not have something to fall back on. So remember that with your friendships, because if people don't treat you with the same, then they need to be reminded of how fortunate they are to be in your company.
Thanks so much for the validation. I really needed to hear that. That really means a lot to me. It helps me to value myself more. Yeah.
I think that part's hard, especially when there's been orchestra and chorus that has been more with dissonant tones than to really understand the beauty of harmony and kind of melody. So, way to go.
Thank you. And it's so good to be here. And thank you to Irene.
Right.
So these are always nice.
Yeah. No, you guys are in very, very good hands with Miss Irene, for sure. So thank you, Mary, so much for allowing me to spend some time with you. Okay. Okay, let's see where I go from here. God, there's so many wonderful people here. I keep looking at everybody. I'm like, hi. I think I found Miss Anne, Miss Rogers. Hello. There you go. Hi, how are you?
I'm getting there, doing better every day.
Good, good. Well done, you. I think there are some commonalities in the last reading that I did that you would understand, because I feel like the spirit world's kind of using this, and I kind of would just make a point. There is a difference between a conversation with the universe and a conversation with the spirit world. The spirit world is essentially kind of a bandwidth where our ancestors, like a frequency on an old-fashioned radio that you'd actually dial into. There's an ancestor frequency, and that's where you talk to your loved ones. But there's also a frequency of the greater universe that includes your guides and angels and all the people that support you, that are your immediate helpers. Because there's a difference in getting a message of like, oh, my dad thinks I'm cool, as opposed to the universe believes in what I'm doing. It's a completely different messaging thing. So I know on a level of a soul, there are things with Mary's reading that you would understand. I am particularly aware of the fact that there has been a number of kind of abrupt losses in your life that I just think are breathtaking for the finite self, and also a really interesting opportunity for your infinite self to find reason and want to be here. Primarily because I can track back in your life to a point. There's a couple of them around 25. And then I feel like there's another point in your early 40s where I think you were even questioning why you were here on this planet, like what you were doing here and what was the point, kind of. And so I, first of all, want to celebrate the strength within your soul. And I want to talk a little bit about your mom. Your mom, God love her. I can't really say that your mom was the most nurturing woman. You would understand my saying that, correct? Yeah. In fact, your mom doesn't seem to feel comfortable connecting to her heart. She processes things quickly. She's a survivalist for sure. It feels around her that there were equal losses. And I think one of the ways that your mom kind of became the woman that she became was to survive. And that mechanism kind of created this practical, pragmatic, cerebral woman who is gifted with this beautiful young lady who is all heart. And I can feel that your mom and didn't have love language for you. And there is a sensation of her almost feeling void and disconnected at times from your life, because of where her attention would go. You understand that? And I just, I'm grateful for her stepping forward, because I don't think your mom would have ever believed in therapy. She wouldn't have believed in like like internal work. She wouldn't have really, but I think a lot of it, with due respect to her, I just don't think was available to her. I just don't think it was something that she understood the value of. Then comes you. And I also am aware of the fact that your mom's passing took quite a bit of time. There is just this feeling of a lot of fear coming up, and a real role reversal between you and your mom, where you almost become mom to mom.
Yeah.
And I love this moment in your soul's journey, because you saw it as an opportunity, and you transcended your own need for validation, even though there was still that want to be, validated by her. But she became more important than your story. And in that moment, I think you really realized that it was the closest you were going to have to knowing how to be loved and be with your mom during a time period. And God, it's breathtaking to witness. Thank you. Thank you for stepping in there. Thank you for showing up for mom, because you could have very easily, because it's represented by other people in your family, because you have brothers, correct?
I have one brother.
Yeah, because I feel like, there were different expressions in the family at that time for your mom of how to support her or how to be there. And I think your choice was your choice, but your choice was the one that your mom really wants to thank you for. And I think there were windows into your mom during the time period that she was passing that I think were different, slightly different. But I also know that there was a great deal of unrest during that time period. That would have been a bit for you to kind of maintain and hold space for. And I also witnessed, after your mom passes, you being with her and being very tender with her physical body afterward and being loving to her in that moment. And I just want to say, when a person passes away, and this, when a person passes away, there's such a gift in being around them when they die. There's a grace in the room that is unbelievably insatiable if you can embrace it. And I just want to say that there were so many things that you did on behalf of your mom to demonstrate your love for her after she passed, and how she was dealt with, and the dissemination of her things, and just the way that you made sure that things were like you wanted people to have part of her, because I think you were almost in a kind of a re-getting to understand your mom during that time period too, because I think things that you became aware of after she passed were not things that you were necessarily privy to, because she was such a private person that it must have felt almost like you were on this adventure discovery to like find out things about your mom after she passed. But I just want you to understand that when I'm connecting with her, there is a huge burst of emotion from her, which wasn't really that evident, about her being grateful for you as a daughter, for you being loving and loving beyond her capacity to understand, which really I think was what smacked your mom, was that no matter who she was, you still came with love. And I think there's these minute moments where you hold yourself in time and you feel that you should have done a better job. And I think the sweetest gift you could give yourself is just to let yourself be free. There's nothing with this relationship that I feel like you didn't do really well. You loved her. You loved someone, sweetie, who just didn't believe they were lovable. And when somebody has that mindset, that's why they are a perpetrator. That's why they push people away, is because their underbelly belief is, I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable. So if they're not lovable, they're either going to push you away so they can control the abandonment, or they'll over need you. So then you get suffocated and you walk away, and then they end up with the same belief, everybody leaves me. So the challenge that happens when we let our I don't want to say wounds, because I don't like that word very much, but when we let the deficits in our life run the show, when our finite self is just in that place and space, then we can't shift to that other conversation. So well done, girlfriend. Well done.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful. I was hoping to hear from my husband, but that was very helpful.
Well, I am grateful your husband and the relationship you have with your husband, because I love his gentleness. I love his touch. And I think a lot of what needed to be dismantled and reorganized was done so by the presence of his soul. And I also know that he's your biggest fan. But I think sometimes, and this is true with mediumship readings always, we want the evidence, we want our own agenda, but the spirit world is always about healing. And they know where you are not in sync with yourself. They know where you're holding yourself in time. And it's part of the reason why I love mediums that could do like 20-minute readings or 30-minute readings. I will never be that medium. Like my sessions are like an hour and 15 minutes because I want to get in there. Like I want to get into that stuff, you know? And I love mediums that just go bam, 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 bam. I'm like, wow, gosh, that's so cool. They do that. But the healing aspect of it, once you understand the evolution of the soul, once you believe in the fact that there's a continuation of soul, there's so many opportunities, you know, for healing. So I just am grateful. You could say that your husband's sponsored today. That's how he wants to be, like, that's how he wants to like be thought of in this moment. But definitely, you know, his love is with you. Like, you know that. I just think your mom wanted you to know that she loves you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that she's so grateful for the woman that you are, because you teach her about love all the time. So we don't just keep learning, they keep learning too. And that's why our evolution is so important, is because we can do so much good within our own environment, but also exponentially with the universe too. So it's really nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely woman you are, Miss Anne. Lovely woman. Lovely woman. All right. I had an experience. Hey, Susan, nice to see you, girlfriend. Yay. I had an experience, just a really sad moment recently where a colleague of mine, Terry Daniel, who does an afterlife conference or did that for years, informed me that this woman she had hoped I would do a reading for had an experience with a medium where the medium, and I'm not faulting the medium, but there's just levels of, you have to be spiritual. You have to understand the spirit world. You have to understand the difference between your own thinking and the intelligence of the universe. It's really necessary. But this poor woman whose child died tragically was told that she was holding her daughter from heaven, and that she shouldn't put a meal out for her because that was teasing her and making her sad. And I couldn't believe, like, the depth of damage is really what I want to say that the medium did, because and I just say it because all of you are fans of mediumship. Thank God. I love all of you, and I thank you for that. And I hope that you find the most extraordinary medium who speaks your language and who can help you on a deep level to release the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore and step into the best version of yourself. That's what the joy should be. But I also just know that there's so many mediums now, and it's awesome. You know, I'm happy about it. But there's also different levels, and respect yourself, respect your ancestors, you know, find someone who is heart-centered, find someone that has education, find someone who knows what they're talking about, who do the research, because I just am just so saddened when stuff like that happens, you know, and you all deserve so much better than that. And that's why being friends with Miss Irene, you guys are very smart. Because
well, you can get, anyone can get right on and listen to their interviews, and you can really get your own sense of who they are. Yeah. And that's why I ask very pointed questions, so that you can get your own sense. And I find out, how did you come to this? What do you do? I try to cull as much as I can so that people can decide.
Yeah. Well, I think it's necessary. And also, you know, your loved ones, some people aren't public. So in a gallery setting, they may not be the person that, you know, steps forward and says, hi, I'm here. You know, it may necessitate a personal conversation. It may necessitate a more sacred experience. So, but I know that you probably are all really smart about that because you're affiliated with Irene. So well done you for being so smart. Okay, let me see. I want to look in the okay. Is it Mardi Gras today? Happy Mardi Gras? Yes. Happy Mardi Gras beads to everybody. Thank you, Alice. And Alice, so beautiful to see you, girlfriend. We haven't seen each other in a while. We went through shaman training together. And Alice is a really gorgeous soul in Chicago, I think. Maybe she can help me be smarter by chatting and telling me where she is. Okay. Thank you, Mary. You're a sweetheart. Okay, let me go to, hi, Lori Brainerd. I just want to do a little shout out. Lori Brainerd is a beautiful medium and a dear friend of mine. She has done a lot of channeling work, and she's absolutely a lovely human being. So you might want to just get to know her. And Irene, you might want to chat with Miss Lori, because she's a good egg, very integral. She's very integral, and I dig her a whole bunch. Okay, let me find somebody, 1 second. Miss Joanne. Hi, girlfriend.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I want to thank you for the message that you sent me. Okay. So Joanne, I'm a full disclosure person because I just think it's fair. Yeah, I just think it's fair. Joanne has shared a couple of people with me who have passed tragically, and also your spouse recently transitioning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about your niece first. Oh my God, this woman could, this young lady could run a planet. Like,
Yeah.
the gal is just like, I'm here, and I want her to let her know I'm here, and I'm fine, and everything's good. And she also is, she has this awesome, like awesome energy to her. Super smart, kind of a game changer, because she feels to me to be somebody that like defends the little guy. I mean, she's just like, she's got the right attitude about everything. And I also feel this beautiful symmetry between your soul and her soul. Like, she puts her arm in you and she's like a mom to me, like the two of you really got along. And speaking of which, so this is your sister's daughter?
It's my brother's daughter.
Brother's daughter. Okay.
I was very close with her mother.
Yes. Okay. Because I just her mom. Okay. So your niece is present. Your brother's wife is present, yeah. And she's a hoot. She's got kind of like a pragmatic and a straightforward personality, just cuts to the quick on things. But I also feel like she's showing that both of you are kind of grieving together, because she talks about opening windows to your soul. So you would have had, since their passing, either some kind of a dream with her or something where you feel like you've connected with her on some level, because I feel like her soul is, and it's interesting because I feel like your niece could also, like, you would be the one in the family that they would break through to let them know that they're okay. But your brother's wife is like a sister to you. I mean, she's just and I'm happy about that, because I feel like that was like a missing element of your life, not having her presence there. I'm sorry that they're talking about the fact of you having to see either the scene where this happened or the objects around where this happened, like the car where this happened, because this was a car accident, correct?
No, it was a volcano eruption.
Okay.
In New Zealand.
Okay. The feeling of it to me was kind of like just I don't want to be, kind of like a collision is the
Right.
feeling of it. However, the beautiful thing about that side of the family and their family relationship is that they were all very connected with each other. This is a synergistic family. This is, they all were very communicative with each other. They were in great connection with each other. And also they tell me having such a great day.
Yeah.
So it was like a trip of a lifetime. And your brother is also kind of being humorous here about the fact that he got it just under the belt, it's something he's wanted to do. And so if it was a way for him to step out of this world, it was a bucket lister. Like it was something that he had a vision that he wanted to kind of check off his list.
That would be her husband, because it was my brother and his wife are still living.
Okay.
It's my niece and her husband and her 2 sons
Okay.
that died.
Okay. Then he
He would be my
sorry.
nephew-in-law.
Okay. Nephew-in-law.
My his husband.
He has, okay, because he has a great sense of humor to him. He has a very laxed kind of personality. And
Exactly.
he's also being, this is what happens when you talk to people that have passed away. He's being kind of flippant about the fact that he passed.
Wow.
Where he's just like, well, you know what? At least I went out doing something I enjoyed. At least it was a big story. At least it was something that. But he also is very grateful because you've been kind of the person in the family that's brought everybody together, that has kind of helped everybody through this. And he's also talking about there potentially being like a gateway for you to do either work with hospice or to work with people and families that are dealing with transitions, because things like that have happened so frequently for you.
Yes.
And I will say, in normal speak, if we weren't with this beautiful group of people, a lot of it's funny how people frame it when someone's had multiple losses or complicated grief, which is a great example of what Joanne's experiencing in this moment. God love you for all that.
Thank you.
And I also appreciate the fact that you're very definitive. So like, you're very good at self-care. I don't need to have that conversation with you at all. You're like, nope, I don't want to talk to you about that. Sorry, not ready for that. Yes, come forward. Like you could do a class on boundaries that would be really awesome for everybody to kind of, do that. But I think it's part of the reason why you're the right person to step in to help everybody. But please know that your niece just thinks the world of you. I mean, you are like, the sun and the moon and everything. She loves your kind of witchy poo side for sure. Like it makes you extra cool. And I feel like it was that not one of the main bonding points, but it was a pretty strong bonding point between the two of you. I just feel so much love from your family. And I just want to let you have that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having said something. I appreciate it very much. And just very quickly, your husband is such a piece of work.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah.
He kind of looks at me and he goes, one of a kind. Like I'm one of a kind. Like that's the kind of guy I am. I appreciate his sensitivity. And I think you were quite a front man for him on times, to kind of help him navigate things, because he could come off one way, but have an underbelly to him that people didn't understand. And I think there were times that life and the world was a little bit confusing to him. And I think you were great at kind of giving him emotional intelligence is what he's telling me. So, and I also know that he's putting himself in a doghouse like he needs to go in timeout for some of the things that he wasn't accountable for. And then when I ask him about that, he just kind of says to me, it's a longer conversation, but let her know that I'm realizing that I'm sorry would have been a better words for me to use.
He really, really hurt me.
So just please know that hear the emotional intelligence part, right? What he was
Yeah.
saying about you, because you did your right best to help him out.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
just, you know, he's complicated and it's a great example of someone who might have been a little afraid of stepping into what could cure him and what could help him. And you tried your right best. So please be forgiving and kind to yourself, because you did a really good job there. I don't think it was acknowledged at all to the degree that it should have been, but I think you did an amazing job. So should that transition to that kind of different career happen for you, I think that'd be really interesting. I think you'd find a lot of value in it, because that death doesn't frighten you, like that kind of experience and people dying and all that stuff. It's very natural for you. They're death doulas that are absolutely stunning individuals that are not hospice, but are really trained to be with people in the dying process and educate the people that are around the person that's dying in death practices and things to do while a person is in the dying process, as they're in the dying process, and most importantly, after they've passed away, to be able to have those really interesting moments of closure that we had in the 1800s that we've kind of distanced ourselves from. So you have a beautiful nature to you and also a strength to you that's breathtaking. So I wish you all the best, and I send you love for your losses.
Thank you, Austyn. You're awesome.
Oh, you're so sweet.
This is so.
If I could say something, sweetheart, I've interviewed a few death doulas on the podcast. So Joanne, you could certainly check them out and learn a lot from listening to what they have to say about what they
Thank
do.
you, Irene. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, it's a beautiful one of the conferences I was aligned with, the Afterlife conference. I'm sad it's no longer in existence, but what was beautiful is with the migration that's happening for people to create different experiences of death and dying and a more personalized experience. And I had the honor of being with my mom after she passed away. And I think I had not had that experience, and the amount of closure that I got from it. And what I've also noticed is, whereas my dad's soul visited me quite profoundly after he passed, and he continues to do so, it's not that my mom doesn't. My mom was a very different personality, but I just feel like she has closure too. And I should know better as a medium that it goes both ways. But I think, finite self, we tend to think of our own experience, but that experience of being with your loved ones. And just out of curiosity, let me go back to gallery view. How many people have had the honor of being with someone that's in the dying process or someone that is dying? Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's not something to be, I think we can have moments of fear about it. I think we can have those uncomfortable moments, but there's a beauty in it that is unlike any other experience. And then once they're out of physical form, there's so much in the room that's just glorious. So I am excited about a potential career in that, maybe, and seeing where things go with that. So hopefully that's great. Okay.
Austyn, I'm just going to say we got about 10 more minutes if you want to do like a quick little reading and
okay.
Okay.
There's so many beautiful people. Hi, Thea. I love you, girlfriend. God, pressure.
well, but we will say anyone who does, you all know how wonderful Austyn is now, so you can certainly get on. I'll give you, in a little while, I'll give you her contact information. You can certainly get on, have an appointment with her. And she has an offer for all of you. So
yes, I do. Janice and Robert, I'm really drawn to the two of you. Hi. You're napping. I love it.
There you
Okay,
go.
we unmuted.
Hi, how are you both? I love your purple couch.
Thank you.
Okay. Am I correct that the two of you have a child in spirit?
Yes.
Okay. And this is a young man, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And also, he also has a young female with him as well. Would you understand him also stepping forward with a little girl as well?
Yes.
Okay. So am I correct that both of these children are yours?
I'm thinking yes.
Okay. Okay. So, the little girl, immediately, Robert sits on the couch next to you and kind of wants to put her head underneath your arm, which I think is quite sweet. There's a relationship that you would have with her, that I can't help but say is a heart opener, because I feel like her soul, you are somebody who has amazing mental perceptions. You're like so flippin' smart. And I think that you've had moments in your life of love, but I think when you experience children in the world, your heart kind of almost like you're not the Grinch, but like grew like 6 times, where you had such a heart-opening experience. And I feel that this young lady is so pivotal to that. And I also feel that your son in spirit is equal in energy that way. Do you understand that being mentioned?
No, I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to make sure I'm communicating it correctly. I feel like children in your life open your heart in a way that you'd never experienced before.
It's possible.
Yes, Jillian.
Yes, okay, yeah, all right.
Yes,
Okay.
he's very, when his niece and nephew were little, and this is when I first met him, they
Okay.
would run up to him out of anybody in the room, and he would let them jump on his chest, and they would just
Okay.
giggle.
Okay. So with these two little souls that I'm sensing, I just, and I'm trying to be mindful of time. I'm so sorry about this. I'm aware, what I would like to do is just call out a couple of people that are around you right now, because I can feel the two of them. I also can feel your father, Robert, stepping forward. And then I also feel like there's also an uncle of yours in spirit, as well, that needs recognition or wants recognition. And a gentleman friend of yours, like a colleague of yours, who passed away a long time ago. I feel like this would be a gentleman who would have been in his like late 20s into his 30s that passed. So what I'm feeling from your soul is a number of people that are kind of coming forward, to be present for you. And then with that information, I'm also getting the fact that you're at such an interesting crossroads in your life, that you've got some very interesting choices coming your way. And it could feel like a retirement in a way, but I don't see you as ever someone that's going to retire. God love you, and thank God for you for that reason. But I feel like this whole group of people are all coming forward at this moment to kind of give you the ATA guy, cheerleading thing, primarily because, you've made very conservative choices because you've had reasons to make those decisions. But I feel like there's other things pulling at you that would drive you in a slightly more dynamic direction. I think you have entrepreneurial energy, and I think there's teaching in you. I think there's so many different aspects of things that you can contribute. I think you could either sit on a board. I think you could. So I think the dynamic is you are one of those people who has so much to give. And I think it would be an awesome thing if you could spend some time looking at where you are in your life right now and what's valuable and what you want to perpetuate and what you want to just stop. Because I think you've been in a run mill for a while of just doing things and trying to make things work. And I appreciate that about you, but you're so willing to be of service to other people. I'd like you to just kind of put a pause button on everything and really ruminate for a while and decide what you want from this moment and what you would like your life to look like. Because I think working less and living more would be so good for you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Forgive the truncated message, but I'm sending you both so much love, and I like your couch. It looks super comfy. It looks super comfy.
That's beautiful, Austyn. You know, I know that I speak for everyone here in thanking you for this incredible event. Just been wonderful. You're so very gifted and authentic. And for all of you who now surely want to connect with Austyn, you can do so at austynwells.com. And I'm going to spell her name because I just love her name. It's AustynWells.com. And I also would like you all to know that there's now an offer code in the chat bar for an ancestor discussion and meditation to help you connect with your own spirit family. So fitting for our time together tonight. And the link for this special offer from Generous Austyn will also be included when you all receive the recording of this gallery tonight. And here's a reminder, everyone, that you can see the show notes and all Grief and Rebirth podcast episodes on ireneweinberg.com, and make sure to follow us and like us on social at Irene S. Weinberg on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And be sure to subscribe to Grief and Rebirth podcast on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and hit notify so that you'll get all of the inspiring and insightful new interviews coming your way. As I like to say, to be continued. Loving thanks to you, wonderful, gifted, authentic, terrific Austyn. Many blessings to each of you, and bye for now.